Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Thank you for being an awesome pledge hammer on Patreon, the Outlaw Andrew Harris. Roman Reigns is attacked backstage, Daniel Bryan still isn't feeling chatty, and cards subject to change as 2 advertised matches are now changed before the show airs. How was that? Because Vince McMahon rewrote the show twice hours before it aired. Click the timestamps down below to go to any of those stories. I am Luke Owen. Give us a subscribe, press the thumbs up button, and leave a comment down below to answer our question of the day. Who do you think attacked Roman Reigns? And make sure you vote in the poll above my head to let me know what you thought of the show, where you can choose from Smacknificent, Smacktastic, Smack Bang in the Middle, Smackdowner, and a smack in the face. Thanks to Bomber Bo for suggesting the new Smacknificent rating in yesterday's Wrestle Ramble Super Chats. This is my review of the July 30th, 2019 edition of SmackDown Live. The show opened with Shane McMahon doing the most heelish thing he can possibly do in the whole wide world. He filmed himself on his phone in portrait mode. You monster. He said he wouldn't be on tonight's show, which was good news to Kevin Owens, who said we can now focus on the SmackDown talent that doesn't get TV time because of Shane O'Mac. But let's ignore the fact we've got a segment coming up later with not regular SmackDown talent Jerry the King Lawler and Trish Stratus. Drew McIntyre came out and the two had a really good match with decent action. Owens kicked out of a second rope air raid crash. Drew kicked out of the pop-up powerbomb but couldn't kick out of 2 stunners. This really put Owens over strong heading into SummerSlam, where he's going to face Shane McMahon, but it's more stop-start pushing for big old Drew. Dolph Ziggler cut a promo with the queen of segways, Kayla Braxton, and Ziggy again brought up Goldberg's name, which plays into those reports that Dolph versus Goldberg was a match that could happen at SummerSlam. However, Dolph instead said that he's going to face The Miz at Summerfest, which is a huge step down from facing either Goldberg or Shawn Michaels. Aleister Black is back in the Phantom Zone, challenging someone to fight him at SummerSlam, which was later accepted by Sami Zayn. Ember Moon and Bayley had a tense backstage meeting and then had a tag match where they teamed up against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. This was your standard WWE tag match. The baby faces ran wild, we went to an ad break, the heels worked over one of the baby faces, we got a hot tag, and then went to the finish. And that finish was surprisingly Alexa Bliss pinning Ember Moon fair and square. After putting Ember Moon over so strong last week, this seems like a major step backwards. And then Bayley laid out Moon with a Bayley to belly. Man, not a good night for Ember Moon. From this, I guess Alexa Bliss is going to be added into the SmackDown Women's Championship match, or maybe it'll be a fatal 4-way with Nikki Cross involved. Either way, it's a bad night for Ember Moon. If you've been wondering whatever happened to Big Show after he split away from the bar last year, well, he signed up for a Netflix show, where hopefully he'll be more chatty than Daniel Bryan, who once again denied to comment on his advertised career-altering statement by just walking away from Kayla. SmackDown was in Memphis this week, so you know what that means. An appearance by Jerry the King Lawler. He brought out his favorite woman to objectify during the Attitude Era, Trish Stratus, who explained that she wasn't at Raw Reunion because of Instagram or something. Lawler said that every legend on Raw all wish they could have one last match. I'm sure Shawn Michaels certainly does. But Trish said that she's a mother now. This brought out Charlotte Flair, who challenged Trish to a match at Summerfest. Trish called her a bitch, Attitude Era, and accepted her challenge as she created the trail for Flair to blaze, along with Lita, Ivory, Jacqueline, and Beth Phoenix. Yep, pretty sure that's everyone. That is everyone on that list. Firefly Funhouse made a short return this week, with Rambling Rabbit saying he was a huge fan of Finn Balor, but he made a mistake in unleashing the Fiend. And after teasing the Universal Championship match between Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar might not happen due to Seth's injuries from Raw, the first ever Universal Champion Finn Balor took on Dolph Ziggler in a pretty standard affair. The lights went out and the Fiend appeared from out of nowhere, and this distraction allowed Dolph to hit the super kick and pick up only his 2nd win since coming back. Why are you still here? The action continued next as Shinsuke Nakamura took on Prince Ali. Yes, it is he who won with a roll-up. This should set up a match for Summerfest. This feud has had some really odd build. 2 weeks ago, this was teased, but last week Ali was cutting a promo about winning the WWE Championship while Nakamura set up a feud with Apollo Crews. And now we're back to Nakamura versus Ali. I mean, I'm happy we're getting this feud, don't get me wrong. It's just an odd way to go about it. We then got the best thing on the show by some margin, a promo from inside the mind of Randy Orton, who once again rewrote his famous throwing the toys out of pram stupid hissy fit into a storyline. This was more great stuff from Orton, who said there wouldn't be Kofi Mania without him because he kicked Prince Ali so hard in the face he couldn't compete at Elimination Chamber. And to cap off this great bit of promo work, he said that Kofi challenging him to SummerSlam was stupid. And I loved this. Kofi Kingston cut a promo saying that SmackDown is no longer the house that AJ Styles built and it's now the Palace of Positivity, and then he had a singles match with the United States Champion. This was originally advertised to be a 6-man tag, but cards subject to change, we got this match instead. Speaking of which, what happened to that Fire and Desire versus Iconic match that was set up last week? And before you say anything, I know they filmed something for WWE.com, but let's be honest, if it wasn't important enough to be featured on the broadcast, then it's clearly not important. Anyway, this match was really good and featured such a chaotic ending that the camera crew nearly missed it, with Kofi hitting the Trouble in Paradise on AJ as he dove through the air to hit the phenomenal forearm. Well, that was a decent show, and wait, what? What do you mean there's more to cover? There's only 2 minutes of the show left. Oh, that's right, it's the much-hyped announcement of Roman Reigns' SummerSlam opponent, which we never found out as Roman was attacked by boxers and steel girders as he walked towards Kayla Braxton. This felt like a really big deal, until Roman just stood up and was fine. And it would have felt like a bigger deal if it was actually given some time to breathe. But because the show clearly ran long, this segment was incredibly rushed and had zero impact, which is such a shame. And it's another damp ending for an episode of SmackDown. If Roman was always going to be fine, why didn't this just happen earlier in the night rather than at the end? Overall though, I thought the show was pretty good. There was some decent in-ring action and some good build towards SummerSlam. It wasn't as good as Raw, but it was a high smack bang in the middle. And now over to Pete Quinnell with the news.
Great review, Luke. Just watch out you don't get crushed by some scaffolding on the way back to the office, as we'll never figure out who did it. Luckily for all of you guys out there though, I've solved the mystery of who attacked Roman Reigns. Well, Twitter has anyway. After the scaffolding angle concluded the show, several eagle-eyed viewers put up screenshots on Twitter showing who they believe was the mystery attacker, and who they believe it is will shock you. I should write for BuzzFeed. The screenshots show Buddy Murphy walking away from the wreckage. Could he be an innocent bystander or the malevolent attacker that destroyed Roman and his hopes and dreams until he walked away, that is? Could this lead to a Buddy Murphy versus Roman Reigns match for SummerSlam? I personally would absolutely love that, mainly because Buddy Murphy would actually be on the card. While we might all be wondering who caused the scaffolding to topple on top of Roman Reigns, it's his former Shield brother who's been making waves in AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. With All Elite making their weekly TV debut on TNT this October, segments have started to be announced for the debut show, including Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara, and now Jon Moxley has been confirmed to appear live at the show too. Whether Moxley will be wrestling on the show or maybe just starting a feud with somebody remains to be seen, but the date is drawing closer and closer, with exactly 1 month until possibly AEW's final show before they begin their weekly TV programming, All Out, where Moxley is scheduled to face off against Kenny Omega. But AEW aren't the only wrestling company starting a new show in October, as WWE will be moving SmackDown Live over to Fox, and with it moving the show to Fridays instead. It had previously been speculated that SmackDown would undergo a rebranding, as a new logo for the show had been leaked via advertisements, but now that has been expanded upon via the ever-reliable WrestleVotes, who tweeted to say, "When the move to Fox happens, expect SmackDown to be shot with different cameras. WWE tested out some newer, much more expensive technology recently and said to have liked what it produced. It will seem cinematic-like, similar to some WWE 24 footage." This is compounded by a recent report on the Wrestling Observer newsletter that claims WWE were looking into testing out new cameras and equipment for their Fox move. It seems those tests went well, and honestly, I'm very much looking forward to a more cinematic feel of SmackDown, as it will differentiate the feel of the two brands and make it look nicer, so what's not to like? Well, what's not to like is Vince McMahon seemingly rewriting the shows on a whim, because this week, just like last week, it seems the chairman of the board rewrote the show. This time though, not once, but twice just hours before it aired. The main event of this week's SmackDown was scheduled to be Big E and Xavier Woods versus Drew McIntyre and Elias, but Ryan Satin of Pro Wrestling Sheet tweeted out to say, hearing from sources that Vince McMahon called in the SmackDown creative team to totally rewrite the show today. This caused the main event to be changed to the OC versus the New Day in a 6-man tag match, which WWE announced on Twitter. This then changed again though to the main event we actually got, being Kofi Kingston versus AJ Styles, which they also announced on Twitter like nothing happened. It must be a delight to work for Vince McMahon. With SmackDown moving to Fox in October, hopefully SmackDown can find its feet, as entire rewrites of the show hours before it airs every single week probably won't fly, plus it can't be good for anyone's stress levels. As the show was pretty average, perhaps he should leave it to the writers, unless what the writers had was even worse, in which case, well done Vince for scraping together a decent show. Check out the Screen Stalker video from yesterday featuring Luke playing one of the hardest games of all time for children. Enjoy!
Oh, grab a gun! Don't! God damn it! No! No! Damn it! Hate this game! And I didn't like The Lion King 2019 either.